Season's not even here yet.
All season.
Free agency isn't even here yet. And yet, the news is being dominated by movement between teams. The obvious headliner that everyone's been talking about, Jonquel Jones heading to the New York Liberty, the 2021 NBA or WNBA MVP, is headed to the Liberty to team up with Breanna Stewart. Jonquel requested the trade, said she wanted to go to New York, got it, which is something that I think players should do more often. We talked about
if they can do this,
right?
Why not do it all the time?
Why haven't they been doing this all along? Free agency's kind of whack in the W, so just request a trade to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Sun, the Liberty also get Kayla Thomas from Dallas. The Sun get back Rebecca Allen from New York. The number 6 pick and Ty Harris from the Wings. Not a bad get back for the Sun if they have to lose Jonquel, which it seemed like they did.
I mean, she put him in a tough spot saying, I'll only play in New York, so you have one place you could trade me. You better make that package. So I think they got a nice haul in return for the talent there.
And it helped that they included Dallas. Dallas had nothing to do with Jonquel Jones, but actually came out of the deal pretty well. They came back with Natasha Howard and Crystal Dangerfield, Natasha Howard's a really good player as of late. Crystal Dangerfield started her career off really hot and has fallen off a little bit, but has a bright future.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing there is it creates an interesting situation in that front court in Dallas.
Definitely.
They got a lot of bigs down there, but I have a take for the WNBA. I think bigs are overvalued.
Yeah.
And if you're building the team, you want big guards and wings that can shoot.
Yep.
Because there's such a low range of heights.
Exactly.
If you got, like, the Wings have, like, 4 or 5 playable bigs, I think they have a nice chance to sell on a few, but it's just an interesting situation.
It is, for sure. And I think, Dallas loading up on bigs, we'll see how that goes. They're kind of the anti-Indiana Fever in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question for you is, do you think that Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart, and by the way, we'll talk about it, the Liberty might even add more firepower, but those are the two stars, as it were, at the moment. Are those two now the best duo in the league, in your opinion?
Top 2? Not 2.
Not 2.
I think they compete with Kelsey and Asia very nicely.
I was going to say that Kelsey and Asia were my number 1.
Yeah.
I think they get bumped by this curve.
I think they do too. I mean, this is... Guard-big duos are always fun.
Yes.
So, when you have this, you have 2 at this high of a level.
If we're getting vintage Jonquel, it could be Shaq and Kobe.
Oh my God. It'll be fun to watch.
It's going to be quite a look for New York.
Yeah.
And the addition of Jonquel Jones is obviously doing big things to the odds.
The Liberty moved up to plus 440, second best odds behind the Aces. And, I mean, this move really it makes you a championship contender automatically, no matter what they do in free agency. And it sets them up nicely to compete with the Aces.
Yeah, it does. I think the Aces are still the team to beat, but this is a crazy duo. And if you think... There it is. If you think that they're going to pull off some more moves, which we'll talk about, 440 might be a nice number to grab it at, because that could jump even further from where it is now. So the other moves by the Connecticut Sun, they sent Jasmine Thomas to reunite with Kurt Miller in LA. They throw in a first-round pick for the old coach. They get back Olivia Nelson-Adota, who is a recent UConn alum, and Jasmine Walker and Kiana Smith. They're not going to be devastated by the Jonquel Jones loss. They have a good core still, and they're adding some young talent. It's not ideal to lose your best player, but
definitely something you generally want to avoid.
You want to avoid, but like we said, they couldn't really avoid it. She demanded the trade, so their backs were against the wall. These are some good moves, and I think they're still in win now mode, considering they're trading away picks and getting players back.
Yeah, well, I think the reason I like this move is they moved up in the draft. They lost their number 10 with JT, but with JJ they gained the number 6, so they move it up, added some nice young pieces. I like both of these moves, given the situation. That you have to trade your best player.
Again, this is all with the caveat that you couldn't do anything else with Jonquel Jones. They made a pretty good haul out of it.
Yeah.
So impressive moves by Connecticut. Other trade news, we've got Alicia Gray teaming up with Rin Howard in Atlanta. A couple of former rookies of the year. That's going to be a big duo as well.
That is a huge backcourt.
Those are a couple of big bodies making plays. They're very talented. The Wings get back the number 3 pick and a future first rounder. I think the Wings are really planning for the future at this point. I think
if I'm one of these marginal teams, like teams on the fringes, like the Wings, I am impressed seeing 2024 picks, man.
Absolutely.
That draft is going to be loaded. If I'm any of these teams, even if I'm like the Sun and we're teetering between looking into the future, I might want to just go at it and pick up a few more 24 picks.
Could you imagine the ticket sales that the Sun would do if they got Paige Beckers?
Yeah.
Or even AZ Fudd. Like, if you can keep a
Get
UConn player in town, the two of them together in the pros, unreal. Like you said, like, next year's draft class is unreal. So if you can get a future first rounder and just cross your fingers that team's going to suck, they might just win the lottery and get the number 1 pick for you. So
I mean, even if they don't suck, that draft class is so deep. I'm thinking there's like franchise players deep into the first round.
I think so too. I think the whole first round is going to be loaded. So it's not a bad strategy for teams that don't really know what they're doing right now to tank, as it were, but just get more first round picks because there are going to be some generational players in next year's draft.
There's never a better time to load up for the future than right now because there's only 12 teams.
Right.
It won't be like that for that long.
Right. There are going to be more teams.
So if you want to get first round talent, and a lot of it, like high first round talent, gotta get it now.
Yes. Load up. So those are the trades that we've had our eyes on. Free agency opens tomorrow. So things are going to get even crazier tomorrow. We got some big players on the market. Notably, Breanna Stewart is like the prize to be won in free agency. All eyes are on New York for her as well. That's why I said grab that 440 because it might end up being the betting favorite over the Aces if they secure Breanna Stewart.
They really might turn into the KD Warriors.
It's a super team for sure. It's a super team loaded. Breanna's from New York. I think there's a good chance that she ends up there. She sent out like a really cryptic tweet that was just emojis the other day. People were trying to break it down. And then another one with a calendar and a pepper emoji. I think that just means decision imminent.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Let's walk through this thing. The trophy, baby bottle, plane, a house, money bag, basketball, and water wave. Now, what could that mean?
So I can't credit this to myself. I saw someone else break this down on WNBA Twitter. But I think the first half is she's made her money and started her family by playing in Seattle, winning a championship, and winning overseas. Mm-hmm. Then you've got an equal emoji, equal sign. Then you've got some jungle animals, some construction, a little map. I think that this equals she's going to play in the concrete jungle, her hometown of New York. That's what NBA Twitter or WNBA Twitter is on lately. So I think I really like her odds to go to New York. I think that seems to be where all signs are pointing. It looks like either New York or she's going to stay in Seattle. But we talked about it last night. Seattle has 2 players under contract right now. Everybody else is in free agency or retired.
Let's bring them back, maybe.
Seattle wants to retain as many players as they can because they need to. But it looks like Stewie might be headed back to the Big Apple. What other possibilities do you see for Breanna Stewart in free agency?
There's one I really like. It's not my idea. I picked it up from Gabe Ibrahim on the Her Hoops podcast. And that's the Indiana Fever. Now, I can't imagine her playing in Indiana, first of all, but he likened it to the Padres picking up Machado right before all their big prospects came up. All their young guys really became MLB talent. And it feels the same. If you want to go build a legacy, like actually build a team, Breanna Stewart, I think you go to Indiana. They got Kelsey Mitchell to mentor some of their young guards.
Mm-hmm.
They need a big to mentor those young bigs down there. Notably, a big they're looking at as the number 1 pick. That could be a really interesting core if she goes over to Indiana. But then again, I don't see her in Indiana.
That's an interesting concept of having her as a mentor to younger players because they need some older leadership.
Yeah, that's a young team.
Real bad this year, and it's just because like a lack of experience.
Yeah.
I would say like in my mind, I see Breanna wanting to win now. That's the thing. She's used to winning with Sue Bird on her team. It's all she's done her whole career in college, overseas, in the W. She's used to winning. They're not going to be winning for a few years in Indiana. And she's 28 years old. Like, she is one of the older, she's a veteran in the league. So, I don't know. I think she's going to want to go somewhere that has a chance to win a championship now.
Yeah. And the way that WNBA contracts work, long-term deals aren't really in the picture. You love, especially if you're one of these top-tier players, you love the short-term, make as much money as you can.
Absolutely.
I mean, I agree with you. That's why I'm wearing the Liberty shirt for a reason.
Yeah. I think that's the destination to go to.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Seattle to get her to stay, but...
I agree. New York is happening.
It's imminent. It's imminent.
Before we move on from her, I want to just throw out a few teams. Give me
a
quick gut check initial reaction. Breanna Stewart goes to the Las Vegas Aces.
Super team central. We want to talk about a battle between two super teams. That's just overloaded. I said there's only one ball. They can't all five be scoring at the same time.
I mean, we talked about the KD Warriors. She goes there. It takes some money movement, obviously, but she goes there. That is KD joining the Warriors.
That is literally, that's a super team of all super teams.
Let's talk Washington Mystics.
I would love to see it. I would love to see two of the league's best bigs. Elena Deladon is looking like her old self lately. Breanna Stewart. We've got Natasha Cloud still to feed them the ball. I think if they wanted to go to work with a couple of bigs, I think the Mystics would be so fun with Breanna Stewart.
And it's close to home.
Exactly.
One more I like a little. The Atlanta Dream.
Could we dream of a team with three big, like, stretch five players? That style of big would be unreal. I think my only worry is, like, do they have guards on their roster to feed them the ball? I think...
Yeah. They just picked up the backcourt of Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard.
That's true. I think that would be an unreal look in Atlanta.
Those are just three teams I'm liking.
That's another team with young players that could use some mentoring. Interesting to see what happens in the Stewie sweepstakes. That'll all be unfolding in the coming weeks with free agency opening today, tomorrow, and other free agents that are out there. Basically, the entire Chicago Sky roster. Everyone this was a championship team 2 years ago, and basically everyone is looking like they might be on their way out. I think their best... Well, let me read off the players first. So, Candace Parker is a free agent. Courtney Vanderquig is a free agent. Emma Meesman is a free agent. Azura Stevens is a free agent. They are all unrestricted and have some power to move where they see fit. I think the Sky's best pitch is, we won a championship 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's run it back. I think if this is a team that's kind of fallen off a cliff and hasn't won in a few years, then it's probably going to be tough to retain them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chicago has a chance. But these are four really important players to their roster. Basically, everyone that's not Kalia Copper is a free agent.
I almost want to see everyone walk and just let Kalia go to work.
Honestly, like, she would score so many points if it was just her and a bunch of rookies and free agency pickups.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Candace Parker going back to the Sparks is the only thing that really,
that would be so
really opens my eyes. What about Courtney? What do you think?
Well, I don't want to say this is the only factor, but is Allie Quigley is still under contract with this guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to still put with my wife. I don't know. Like I think the game is the game, but you probably have the best chance of retaining her because they have Quiggs under contract. That being said, I think Sloot is one of the best shooters in the history of the league. I think she could go anywhere she wants to. There are eyes on her to New York as well.
Talk about a series, guys.
If they had two of the best bigs and two of the best guards, like the most dynamic point guard and then one of the best shooting guards in league history, like it's curtains. It's we might as well call it New York Vegas final right now. I think those two, we'll see. I think they probably might stick around because of that championship winning ability.
Yeah.
I think Emma Mieseman and Azura Stevens are young and they're going to want to kind of chase the bag a little bit. Maybe go to a team has a little more to spend.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the Sparks. Sparks have a chance to re-sign Nneka Ogwuike. She is a free agent. She's a former MVP. She looked like she was getting back to it. She's had some injuries recently, but she was getting back to it this season. They have the money to spend on her. They have over $1 million in cap, but we'll see if they want to use it on her.
Yeah.
I think you want to if you want to win now, the Sparks' best chance is Nneka.
It's nice to have former MVPs on the roster.
It's a nice thing to have players that are good at basketball.
I think it'll come down to her and how she feels about the coaching changes and if she fits with the new regime over there.
Yeah.
But
it's tough to have a full coaching change once you've been with a team for a few years.
Once that new staff comes in, it's kind of like, are you next out the door?
Right.
As the players, so.
And I think they gotta kind of come to her because she's a popular name, and she could go join her sister on TV. She doesn't even have to hoop anymore. She might be on NBA Live with Chennai. She can do whatever she wants. So, a lot of big names in free agency. Excited to see where a lot of them end up. The rosters are going to look very different by opening day, and the draft is going to be huge. We're looking forward to that as well. A lot of teams working on those draft boards for this year and next year. So, that being said,